one. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are likely done in the Brooklyn Nets this season, and there are reports, just feels like every 10 minutes, on what is going to happen. Where is Kevin Durant going to go? Kyrie Irving, we pretty much know how that's going to work, right? Kevin Durant is the real mystery in this whole puzzle, so to speak, where Kyrie Irving, pretty straightforward. He's going to the Lakers in some package centered around Russell Westbrook. It's the only way it's really going to work. And there have been talks of multi-teams involved in this type of trade, right? Something along the lines of like the San Antonio Spurs getting involved, things like that. We've heard reports of maybe the Pacers getting involved because the Lakers are trying to get Buddy Hield, things like that. And the Nets are open to multi-teams. It's something that they've also reported with Kevin Durant, that they want to put a multi-team deal together to get the best and biggest return for Kevin Durant possible. And it's likely we're going to see something unprecedented when it comes to the Kevin Durant trade. The other thing is that a lot of the reports have been that the Brooklyn Nets want to wait for Kevin Durant in a trade in order to do the trade with the Lakers for Kyrie Irving. Likely for a leverage play. Maybe they want to integrate, all the teams together and just kind of make it one big deal, which is a real possibility. That maybe Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they get traded at the exact same time, with Kyrie going to the Lakers, multi-teams getting involved, all of that, this, that, and the other, right? And when it comes to Kevin Durant, the number one destination for him and the team that wants him arguably the most is the Phoenix Suns. And the Phoenix Suns are reported to be working on packages, but there's a lot of concerns and issues with the Suns package. And that's why the Brooklyn Nets want to get a multi-team deal and around a trade for Kevin Durant, because they can't trade Devin Booker. So if you can't trade Devin Booker, yes, you have Ayton. Yes, you have Mikal Bridges. You have Cam Johnson. You have draft picks, things like that, which could be a great package. But based on the bar that keeps getting raised with like trades like the Rudy Gobert trade, like it's very likely Kevin Durant's going to get a ridiculous return. And what I talked about with leverage with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is very likely going to go to the Lakers. I talked about it here on this channel, that the word around is that the deal is done. They're just waiting for the Kevin Durant in, but they already know what is going to happen with that. And the leverage comes into play, because think of a team like Phoenix, right? You want Kevin Durant, you're kind of hesitant for a trade package. Kyrie Irving hasn't been traded to the Lakers yet, so it's like, well, we don't need to push too heavy for Kevin Durant. Well, if you're the Brooklyn Nets and you go, hey, guess what? Kevin Durant, you want him, right? Well, now you're really going to want him because Kyrie Irving is going to the Lakers. And because Kyrie Irving's going to the Lakers, they have Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. Do you really think you're going to beat them as currently constructed? I mean, you lost to the Dallas Mavericks last year and the year before that. If Anthony Davis didn't get hurt, you might have lost to the Lakers, right? I mean, they were up 2-1. They were looking like they were going to beat you. Anthony Davis, she caught a break. Imagine what they're going to do with Kyrie Irving. It just is a narrative. Whether it's true or not, it's just something that gives leverage in a deal for Kevin Durant. Well, it's being reported by ESPN that there may be a 4-team deal kind of in the works right now that would involve Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And this deal centers around this. So a massive 4-teamer between the Nets, Suns, Spurs, and yes, the Lakers. And it would be the Nets get DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Josh Richardson, 2023 first from Charlotte, 2025 first from the Suns, top 4 protected, 2027 first round pick from Suns, top 14 protected. That would be the package going to the Nets. Very likely, from being honest, the protections are likely going to get removed, but it's an interesting one way or another. And then what does a team get in this deal, right? Suns would get Kevin Durant, Lakers get Kyrie Irving, right? That's the thing. Well, the Spurs are kind of the facilitator in all of this, right? Because they have the cap space. They are a tanking team. So they could be that option, in this case, a 4th option, which they've been reported to be a 3-team option for just the Lakers Kyrie Irving trade, but also for the Suns and Brooklyn Nets trade. So the Spurs could kind of be that 4th team that helps facilitate it. They get the Lakers draft picks, and then they'd also get Russell Westbrook. They're going to buy out or waive Russell Westbrook. He could go sign wherever he wants. So the Spurs would do this. Many people might be asking, well, why would the Spurs do this? Why would the Spurs get involved, right? Well, right off the bat, the Spurs, they're getting free assets for nothing, right? You're just taking on Westbrook. He's not going to play for you. You're a tanking team. Why wouldn't you want 2 free future draft picks? Or even if it's a first and like a swap or something like that, because that's what's being reported for the Kyrie Irving trade, that the Lakers would give up 1 first round and then a pick swap. So even if you're the Spurs, you essentially are getting 2 free swaps or 2 free picks, even if it's just 1 pick, right? You're getting 1 free pick for just being that person that's there in 2027 from the Lakers that you can use as an asset to go and trade, or you could hold on to, right? The Lakers very likely aren't going to have LeBron, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis 5 years from now. And if they do, they're probably not going to be the same team they are. So for the Spurs, it might make a lot of sense. You might get a lottery pick by orchestrating this deal in 2027. So I think it's something that makes a lot of sense for the Spurs. The only thing in this trade, this proposed deal that's out there, is the DeAndre Ayton thing, right? Because that becomes a big issue because the Brooklyn Nets would become hard capped. And so the Indiana Pacers, I think, very likely could be attached to this deal. And there's for multiple reasons. Number one, the Lakers want to trade for Buddy Hield, right? That's been reported, that's been talked about. It's been heavily reported that they're trying to go after Buddy Hield. Now, there's also reports that a Suns and Pacers trade is already basically a done deal. The only holdup is the Kevin Durant trade. So the Spurs could either A, not get involved at all, or just be the odd man out, or they could still be the facilitator for Westbrook and it turns into a 5-team trade. Maybe Buddy Hield ends up going to the Lakers, and then instead of DeAndre Ayton going to the Brooklyn Nets, Ayton would go to the Pacers, and then Miles Turner would go to the Brooklyn Nets. I hope you're following along. I'm trying to, slow it down so it makes sense. So basically, it would be the same deal you just saw, but the only difference is Miles Turner would be going to Brooklyn instead of DeAndre Ayton. So they get the same amount of draft. They still get the draft picks. They get Mikal Bridges. They get Josh Richardson. But they're also taking Miles Turner instead of DeAndre Ayton. The Spurs would take on Russell Westbrook because the problem is, would Westbrook and Simmons work out? You don't even have to worry about this if you're the Brooklyn Nets. The Lakers are sending the Spurs a draft pick, and then this trade would work out. So the Lakers would also be able to throw in like a THT, Kendrick Nunn, and maybe Winning Gabriel. Maybe they throw in that second draft pick, like I said, because it's very likely that it's not going to be 2 firsts to the Spurs. It's probably going to be a first and a swap. So maybe you throw THT, Winning Gabriel, and Kendrick Nunn, plus that other first-round draft pick to the Indiana Pacers for Buddy Hield, that kind of thing. It clears cap space for them. They get DeAndre Ayton, so you got a nice young center for the future. It would be a win-win for everybody. Everybody would kind of eat in this type of trade. And then for the Brooklyn Nets, they get a nice young package in return. You get 2 wings and Josh Richardson. You get Mikal Bridges. You'd still have Ben Simmons. You would get Miles Turner. You'd still have a lot of these other guys around you. And if this trade went through, you'd still have Joe Harris. You'd still have Seth Curry. You'd still have Patty Mills. You'd still have TJ Warren. So they would have all these really nice pieces. You still have Quinn. All these guys. So it's a really good spot for all teams involved. And this is very likely going to be a trade that takes place. Now, I'm not saying it'll be exactly like this report, but look for a Kevin Durant trade to be a 3, 4, 5 team deal. I think that's really going to be the case. And the Nets have talked about how that's what they're looking for to recoup as many assets as possible. And there's all these pieces and stuff that other teams want and can get involved. You can get a team like the Spurs that just get free assets for being just there, like showing up to the party, like, hey, I'm here. Oh, here's a free draft pick. Oh, thanks. You got to take on Westbrook and you have to waive him, but it's not a big deal because you got the cap space in your tanking anyway, and you got to do something with that money. So here you go. Here's a thing for your troubles. Thank you so much. Spurs win. The Pacers, they would get a nice young center in DeAndre Ayton to pair with Halliburton. Like, it's great. They win. They're in a great spot. They likely give up a first-round pick as well. I know many people, because we've talked about all these deals individually, and the reason we talked about all these deals individually is because they've all been reported individually. Now it's looking like they're all going to kind of just be one big master deal. And many people have said, why would the Pacers give up a first-round draft pick for, Ayton when they could just sign him? because he's a restricted free agent. So the Suns have all the power and all the control. If you won't want to, we'll just sign him and then you don't get him. And then you can miss out on this deal. Or you give up a first, that first round gets routed to the Brooklyn Nets, so the Nets get an extra first round pick. They take on Miles Turner, which they've been reported to want more. The Nets are happy. They have a young, solid core. Spurs get something for showing up. The Pacers get their young center of the future. The Lakers get their guy in Kyrie Irving. The Suns get their guy in Kevin Durant. Brooklyn Nets get a bunch of really good young talent to remain competitive and be good not only now but for the future. So this would really be a really great win-win for all teams, whether it's a 4-teamer, a 5-teamer, a 3-teamer, however it works. And it's very likely that the Nets are going to trade Kyrie and Kevin Durant at the same time. Word is July 17th is kind of the marker date, but take that stuff with a grain of salt. As always, I always say, you never really know. Nothing's official until it's official. But it does make sense based on reports, based on everything that's been put out there. All these little individual pieces have been put out there, and it would make sense to just do it all in one deal. And everyone understands, everyone knows, everyone's got their pieces, everyone gets a piece of the pie, so to speak. Everyone's happy, and it's a win-win for all parties involved. That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I think is going to shape up. But that's my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down in the comment section below. What do you think? What do you think of this grand trade? Do you think, that 4-teamer makes sense? Do you think, the Pacers will get on board? That makes sense. It'd be a 5-teamer. You got all this, that, and the other. Everybody wins. Kevin Durant gets to go to his destination. Kyrie Irving gets to go to his destination. Both of those teams are legit contenders. That's going to be quite the rivalry. Kyrie, Davis, LeBron versus CP3, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. I mean, talk about matchups. I hope that that's the Western Conference Finals matchup. That'd be amazing. But yeah, you got that. They're both contenders along with the Golden State Warriors. Brooklyn, they remain competitive and are at least a playoff team because they can't afford to tank at all. They don't own their own draft picks. They get a bunch of draft picks for the future. They get some nice young talent to put around Ben Simmons and grow going forward. San Antonio, they get a pick for just being the facilitator and showing up to the party. Do you like this? Do you hate it? How do you feel about it? How do you want to see this go down? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. I love to hear however you feel about it. One last little shameless plug is I did start As It Stands Lakers. It is a channel just like this, dedicated to only the Lakers because the Lakers are my favorite team. And on this channel, As It Stands, I talk about all teams, all sports, stuff like that. We have football season coming up, so I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. And I just wanted to make a dedicated channel to the Lakers to give the ins and outs. Now, all the big stuff, all the big news and stuff, I will still post here on this channel. But if you want all the ins and outs and just rumors and theories and just discussions just strictly on the Lakers, link down in the description or in the comment section. Go check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.